so easy to compare yourself to, other designers, other creators, just other people in general. But I think back then I did it even more, and it kind of pushed me to like work way harder than I think I had to, like strains on certain areas of my life to try and reach these standards that designers from people who've already made careers, I'm trying to compare to them. But yeah, just take a seat back, enjoy the process of it all, practice, but don't burn yourself down on it. You know what I mean?
The Perspective Podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, my guests and I provide the skills for thinking bigger, overcoming adversity, and making an impact with your work. What's going on? You're listening to episode 122 of the Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Scotty.D.Russell of Perspective Collective, and I'm here to help you build a killer side hustle and elevate your brand outside your day job. And at the end of each episode, I plug a listener of the week, so stick around to figure out how you can get a shout out on a future episode, in the show notes, as well as in the newsletter. And if you didn't know by now, everyone's path is different. And sometimes you got to do things your own way and go against the grain. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to work for you. And today's guest has been someone who's blazed his own path for quite some time now. And it's caused him to land killer gigs for people like Lollapalooza, Bones Coffee Company, Dickies, and a ton of your favorite bands. And I'm talking about the homie, the illustrator, the designer, Joshua Noom. He's also a creative dad to a beautiful little girl, and he's been slanging dope work out of Florida. And in today's episode, Josh and I go deep into topics about making your own way instead of following the herd, working hard so your work speaks for itself, taking initiative in the magic of doing outreach, as well as using comparison as fuel instead of letting it paralyze you. Today's episode is meant to be a permission slip for you to do your own thing and own and embrace your own style and your own story. And do what you always do. Help me spread the word. Get Josh's message out there by taking a screenshot of you listening, or take a video of you working to this in the background. Share it on social media. Share it on your Instagram stories. Make sure to tag myself as well as Josh, and I'm going to reshare the love. And it's because of you sharing the show. That's how this show grows, and it means the world to me. You can find the show notes with everything we talk about today at perspective-collective.com/122. So keep an open mind and act on anything that inspires you today. Let's go. PC family, we have the homie Joshua Noom. Am I saying Noom correctly?
Noom, you got it, man.
Noom, okay. We got my homie Joshua Noom on the show today. Welcome to the Perspective Podcast. How you doing, my man?
Man, good. Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited.
About time we've made this happen. So there seems to be a recurring pattern of the people I bring on are people that I meet at conferences, and you and me linked up last year at Creative South for the first time.
Right. Yeah. I took your killer talk shop. Yeah.
How to craft and deliver a killer talk, for sure.
Right. Tongue twister of a name.
We put you guys on the spot, put you on the big stage, and get you speaking in front of everybody. So.
Right. Yeah, that was a good time, man. And man, that's my second year at Creative South. It's a good time. So
I didn't get a chance to link up with you the first year. You going back this year?
Yeah, I'll be there.
You are? I'm missing it. Unfortunately, I'm breaking my streak of 4 times in a row.
Right.
I'm going to Crop since they're sponsoring shit, but honestly, I wasn't planning on going to conferences this year with the little one. And speaking of little one, how old's your little girl?
She just crossed 8 months.
8 months. Yeah, I was a little bit behind you. We're designer dads for those who don't know.
That's it, man. It's a whole new world, but it's awesome, man. She's great. Everything every day is something new, but exciting. Yeah.
By the time this comes out, she'll be 9 months, and my little man will go from 6 months to 7 months. I've been dealing with RSV with my little dude, so it's been me getting sick, then him getting sick, my wife getting sick, but we persist, right?
Right, that's it, man.
So you're in Florida right now, right?
Yep, I'm in Fort Myers, which is southwest Florida, a couple hours south of Tampa. But I've lived over there or here for over 10 years now.
And where did you live originally?
Australia, yeah.
Okay.
Originally from Australia. My family, my mom's side of the family had lived here for a while already, and we had kind of like, it'd been a while since my mum had seen him, so we came over for a holiday, and yeah, pretty much from there. It's a long story, but we ended up staying pretty much. But yeah, so now it's been here since 2006. So yeah, like 13 years or something, which is
It's a lot
insane.
warmer where you are than where I'm at right now. I'm staring out my window at a massive fucking icicle, dude. So it's
Oh
crazy.
man. And
Yeah.
it's actually a bit chilly here today. It's like mid 60s.
Ah, man, shut it. I don't want to hear it. It's been a warm day here. We got like 15 and it's March.
Oh man, I don't know, but when it comes to our summertime and it's plus 100 with, insane humidity,
Humidity. Yeah.
it's brutal, man. You think you'd get used to it, but every
We get
summer
like Antarctica winters and we get like equator summers. So we get like everything. But let's digress and get into the meat of this shit. Give us a brief Wikipedia page summary about yourself for those who may not know of you and your talents and skills.
Yeah, well, my name's Joshua Noom. I guess I'm a commercial artist that would specialize mostly in graphic design and illustration, working with a range of companies from, uh, labels like Sony Music and other kind of enterprise like that, and then from just startup clothing companies and just a wide range of stuff.
Yeah. How did you get into design in the first place? When you were over in Australia, were you heavy into this too, or did like a switch flip when you came over to the States?
Yeah, so I had always been into art, like in school I was kind of one of the art kids that was not very good at much else, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I had moved to the States and I did my senior year of high school, and had come out of there not really wanting to go to college or anything. I was like, let me just get settled down here. I just kind of jumped into like a new country, school, all this stuff. So I just continued to work at a skate shop that I was in. And at the same time, like I said, I was an art kid, so I was always been painting and just kind of more of like traditional mediums of like acrylic paint and canvas, and just spending hours on these paintings. And then it was probably about a year out of school. My mum had suggested, actually, there was a local technical school that studied commercial art and like a graphic design program. And I had never really considered it up until then. And I was like, mama knows best kind of thing. And up until then, I looked at art schools and they were just kind of seemed so expensive. I just couldn't wrap my head around it.
Expensive.
So when this option popped up, I was like, yeah, let's give it a go. It's in town. And just a short, I think, program, a year and a half. And yeah, I did it. And that was my first time really touching any of the software, anything like that. And
so like a community college in a sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually even a little bit smaller. It's just a technical school. So I don't have a degree, really. I don't have like any kind of AA or BA or whatever they're called. I just have a certificate.
Oh, all right. There they are. Hey, that's all right. We roll with that shit. You might hear my cat's clawing at the door. So I think a lot of people think you need this fancy degree. You see these big names out in the world. This is why I love having you on, because one, you have a certificate and it just shows that work means everything. The portfolio shows you can do the work.
Right.
And I have a beef with the traditional school system. I'm not one who tell everybody you have to go to college.
Right. And I guess there's positives and negatives to both. Like I look back and I think, well, maybe if I went to an art school, I might have made more connections with people within the community a bit better, like more of those kinds of names. But for me, this worked out great. It was short, it wasn't expensive, it was in town. And by the time I was out, I had enough knowledge of like the programs to start applying at places. And like you said, if you have a portfolio or, a website or something that has work that's good, then you have a chance. That's how I see it. I think the work speaks a little more than maybe the paper that says we went to school. But again, I guess it's upon the situation. But
yeah, especially if you go to a school like me, I went to a private school to play football, and the art degree and everything there wasn't the best. And maybe it was a little bit I didn't apply myself as well, but I felt like I didn't graduate knowing anything, and I had a mountain full of debt. So I did learn Adobe Illustrator for like the first time my freshman year. So that was probably the best thing I learned.
Right. Right. So I'd heard from people in art schools, like there's a bunch of other kind of classes you have to take and things. And this was kind of like a work at your own pace kind of school. It's a little different, I guess. But even with the software, they give you like these, at the time, I don't know if it's changed, but just CDs of like someone from Adobe, like, a licensed operator or something, teaching you the program. You just plug it in and follow along and try your best not to fall asleep because it gets a bit boring.
Yeah.
But other than that, man, I was on good YouTube every night, like looking up tutorials, learning that way, trying to copy other like icons and things, and watching those videos tutorial wise. And just you get out of it what you put into it. So
That was my next question. So once you like got your certificates, did you just go ham and go all savage by teaching yourself online? Is that pretty much it?
right, yeah. So once I was out of the program, then I immediately started applying at places. And around here, there's really not a whole lot to apply to. But yeah, I sent out my resume and all that a few times. I just kind of wanted to see what happened. I didn't really land anything, so yeah, I just kind of kept working at it. I had a computer at home. I had the programs, and I was like making stuff just for like myself, or me and a buddy at the time were trying to work on like t-shirts and stuff.
Been there.
So yeah, we were doing all that kind of thing, and at the same time, I was just sending out my work whenever something popped up. And I remember I was at my skate job, and I was kind of on the computer there looking up things, and I saw one for an agency in town, and I was like, yeah, I'll shoot it over. And I actually just went on a website and found the boss of the place, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna send it just right to him. And he actually called me on my work phone within the hour and was like, hey, you want to come in tomorrow for an interview? And I was like, yeah, let's give it a go. So I went in and I got the job, and then I started working there like a week later. But
It just started with you taking initiative?
yeah, just kind of sending it out a bunch, and finally one clicked, and yeah, I ended up working there for 4 years or so.
Is that where you kind of got your start?
Right, yeah. So that was my first like official job in graphic design, and it was at an agency in town. It was actually a automotive advertising agency, which
Dude, that was my first graphic design job too. And having to like make those ads really, really quick, get those out and making brochures and all kinds of shit super quick, and getting all the information, the VIN numbers, the descriptions, the pricing, all last minute.
In there, bro.
To get that shit out to press.
Oh yeah.
At least you got to make like the headlines and all that. Hopefully, like that shit was so much fun. That was the best part of it. Yeah, making those headlines. That's where I really found my groove.
The top half is just all the fun, and the bottom is just like this jam packed.
Like and I remember in InDesign, this is a fun thing. I didn't realize that you could like select everything and shift control and size everything down at once. So I was manually sizing down each box at a time and each text box. I didn't know that because I don't feel like I learned InDesign that well until now. But yeah,
well, I got to the interview for that place, and they had said, "So you're familiar with Quark?"
Oh, what?
And I said, "Yep." And I had
to use Quark there.
Yeah. So the agency has been around for, X amount of years. So they were using Quark before Adobe really took off, I guess.
So they were ancient.
So they have all these old files that they want to keep, recycling, and transferring them all over to InDesign would have been way harder than just to like start. So when I did the placement test or placement interview to like have a shot at resizing something, the night before, I just downloaded Quark free trial and just messed around for an hour or so, a couple hours. And I was like, I think I got the rough idea, and went in, did the little, placement, resizing, and, managed to get the job. But
that's hilarious. Did they stick on Quark the whole time you were there?
Yeah, man.
Oh my God. Do you know InDesign now?
Yeah. Okay. So I knew it at the time too. Like we learned it in school, and I was using it for some other stuff. But yeah, so we used it there, and there was some stuff we had to use InDesign for, but mainly, it was all Quark. But I mean, I guess it's another thing that I could use on a resume one day if I needed to.
Oh my God! If Quark ever makes that comeback, it's still around. Okay. From the outside looking in, it looks like you do full-time freelance.
Right.
And it's projected that way, and like I take your shit super serious, especially with some of the clients that I want to dive into here in a little bit. But we were talking earlier, you actually hold down a part-time job along with it. And I don't think a lot of people know that. And
yeah, so
I
I
think that's
work.
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, so out of the agency job, I actually was, ready for something new. And at the time, at church, actually, the church I attend they had a part-time position open, and it seemed like a good stepping stone. Like at the time, it was just like considered a stepping stone. Like, hey, come work with us. We'd love to have you if you'd love to be here. And at the same time, you can work on freelance stuff. And so it's just a couple of days here, a couple of days freelance, and we kind of just take it from there. And it was great, like a perfect, stepping stone. But after a while, I just kind of saw it as more than that. And I just found love working there, love the people. So even though there's like, I could probably leave, I enjoy staying. It also helps me be a little more selective with the work I take on. I don't have to take on every project that comes my way to pay, to worry about the bills getting paid. I can be more selective, take on the ones that I actually feel like I can run with and have fun with, and kind of pass on the other ones that maybe I don't feel as strong about. So I feel like it's a win-win for both of us. I feel like the church likes having me there. I love being there, and yeah, so it's been like 5.5 years now, something, and it's been good. So
That's awesome. So a lot of people, I mean, if a part-time job makes it more easier for you to do freelance on the side and you got your shit covered at the same time,
right,
like it's not a big deal. You don't have to put the stress on yourself to make it full-time freelance overnight. So I know a lot of people like Nick Slater who hold down a day job and still does freelance, and people like you with a
right,
part-time job. So, I mean, I think
right,
that's like a permission slip to a lot of people to not
for
feel the
sure.
pressure.
I fully felt that pressure at the beginning. I felt like I wouldn't have taken myself seriously or considered myself a serious, designer or freelancer if people knew I had a part-time job. And I look back on that, and I'm like, that's just kind of silly, like.
Well, I could see where you're coming from because of this world of social media we live in. We see just the perception and lives of, the big names that we follow. When we see them, like I think of like a Gemma O'Brien or,
Right,
John Catino or a Lauren
right,
Hom who do their shit full time plus stuff. But then you got
right,
like the Nick Slaters and then you and then like Brian Steely, people I
right,
really look up to slaying it, and they all have day jobs.
right, right. Yeah, it's all about your situation, and like, where you find yourself comfortable and happy, and you know where you feel like you're striving. If you feel like your day job or part-time job is maybe holding you back from some of these other projects that you feel like you might get otherwise, then yeah, maybe it's time to take a step. But if you're in a place where you kind of have like the best of like both, like why waste it? You know what I mean?
Everyone's past different. Don't get lost in comparison. Um,
That's it.
Real quick, so where do your clients come from? Are they from? Sorry, man, you could still sell. I'm sick still a little bit, but people just got to deal with it.
I
The
kind of I
content's
kind of like
there.
the I kind of like the raspiness.
Oh yeah, hey baby.
That's it, man. Radio
Oh,
talk show sounding.
oh, I know, right? Like I just smoked a
Yeah,
whole pack of menthols before I got on this shit. Um,
exactly.
but where do your client inquiries come through? Is it from your website? If you haven't checked out Josh's site, I really really like how he approaches this. And what platform are you on? Squarespace or what do you
Yeah,
use? Squarespace,
Squarespace.
simple.
Yeah,
Yeah, check out his site. I really really like how he just throws it out there. It's not really even case studies. It's just like flash sheets the whole way down.
yeah, pretty much. And I'm in the middle of kind of switching some things up, but yeah, still taking that approach of just throwing it up there. I'm not really writing up case studies and things like that. At least not right now. I'm just kind of trying to let the work speak for itself and hopefully still get jobs through it. But
It sounds like what you've always been doing, and it's working.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. As for your question, like work has just kind of come along since I started
Is it
posting it.
Instagram or
Really.
is it like a contact form from your website? Do people
Yeah,
find you on Instagram first? Is that the hub?
Instagram is what started it all. Probably when I first kind of started using it as like a portfolio or whatever, like you know, 6 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it all kind of happened by accident, man. To be honest with you, like I just was at that automotive agency as I mentioned, and just kind of was hitting a wall. I was just kind of over it. And always my outlet outside of there was just create stuff that I loved, whether it was paintings and things. And I had been on Instagram a while, and I was just kind of like posting pictures of like my food and stuff, you know. And I had seen some folks like just through like Explore page or whatever posting their artwork, and I was like, wow, that's actually a pretty good idea, you know, just to kind of put it out. And then at the same time, I had noticed people doing like the hand drawn stuff and incorporating that into their work. And that's just something I had never thought about. Like, it just never clicked in my brain. I don't know if other people felt that way, but I just kind of imagined, always thought that graphic design was strictly like traditional graphic design, like straight lines, negative space, InDesign, Illustrator, like all this stuff. Like you don't mix them, you know, you don't mix pen and pencil with your stuff. And like I just thought graphic design was something that artists did when they knew they wouldn't make a living doing art, something like that.
Yes.
So that's the box I put myself in at the beginning. But but I just kind of started going after what, you know, the things I had seen and trying to put my spin on it. And I was doing some little simple drawings, you know, like I would do these paintings that took hours and hours, like 30 plus, and get like, you know, a few likes on Facebook from my friends or my mum's friends, you know, and nothing would happen with them. Actually, all my paintings are still at a buddy's house and just on his walls. But I got into these simple drawings, you know, that had type in them and, you know, whatever. And I was posting those, and I started to like gain some traction. You know, this is like also, I feel like earlier on Instagram where it was easier to get kind of traction.
Yeah.
But I started posting those and like started like getting traction on those. And after like a little while, I was getting emails about doing projects, and I was like, what? Like for this kind of stuff? I was like, have you seen like my paintings? Like they're so good, you know? I was like, but you want these little like silly drawings? And I just realized like people were into this. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go after it and still at the agency. And I started doing some more drawings here and there. Like I was doing something every day. You know, whether it was like something like tattoo inspired, or if it was like type only or lyrics from a song. I was doing the old school type quote over photo thing that everyone was doing.
I was just that shit too. Yep.
Man, just to practice, man. Like I was just throwing it out there, and yeah, work came in that way for a while, you know, just some little stuff here and there. And I was like, maybe there's something to this, you know, but still kept it on the side. And then once I had built a site with some of that stuff, some other like more serious projects started coming in. And that's about around the same time I had, I was talking to my wife. Well, she was actually my fiance then. And she was like, go for it, you know, like she had a teaching job. And she was like, we're about to get married. I don't want you coming home from your other job, like angry all the time, frustrated. So let's just give it a shot. And I had the church job lined up. So we kind of, we got married. I quit my other job, got married, came back and jumped into this freelance / part-time job world. And yeah, it's been 6 years.
It helps not having that student loan debt. Like that's a huge pro for the route that you went and just betting on yourself in a sense.
Right. Yeah, I'm super thankful that I don't have that. Also, I mean, my wife has it, which, you know, we're doing what we can to you know, slowly get rid of it. But yeah, hearing the stories and knowing how that debt like makes my wife feel sometimes, and it's just good to know that we only have to worry about hers and get hers taken care of, and then we're good. So
yeah, no, that's awesome, man. So I want to dive into a couple questions. All kind of have the same undertone overlap, but I think there's a way that you can answer them all uniquely. So this one comes from Garrett Thomas Miller. And if you want to ask a question later in the later to these guests, each week I'm always putting, you know, prompts of, hey, here's who I'm interviewing this week. Here's who I'm interviewing today in the private Facebook group at the Perspective-Collective. So go jump on Facebook, join a part of the family. It's global. It's dope. And you get to ask questions, get your name mentioned on like this. So I had to plug that. All right. So Garrett Thomas Miller, how does Josh approach the design process of each project the same way, or does it depend on the work? And then he also states, all of his work is very clearly his killer style, but each design brings its own amazingly unique aesthetic. So how would you describe that? You know, how do you approach each piece? Do you go in knowing what you're going to do? Do you have a set style that you're always going to, I guess, attack?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd say like the style almost kind of comes like
I'm pulling up your
naturally.
Instagram on the side too, so keep talking.
Sure, yeah, like so the style kind of comes naturally as it progresses on, but as far as approaching each project, I mean, it comes down to some of the guidelines that maybe the client has set, whether, you know, how many sketches I do or how many of this I do or how many rounds or whatever, but they all start the same way. No matter the size, no matter what it is, I have that template set up and I just always kind of do a sketch first. And then I just kind of draw it and then I'm just doing it all on an iPad. You know, now I started with just kind of like the Sharpie and pencil thing, but
So
the process, go ahead.
does it start like, does it varies? This time it starts analog by hand. This time it starts in like Procreate. Do you ever just go immediately if it's like a type driven piece right into Illustrator? Does it always vary?
Yeah, so that stage can vary for sure. So if it's an illustrative piece, like with like, you know, animals or something or whatever it is, that will always be like kind of like a sketch first, and that's just always straight to Procreate. Just kind of sketching on there, and then sent off. And once approval, I can continue on with the type-based ones. I used to start out with like a sketch and do like the grid and mark my lines and kind of measure out that way. And I was doing that with Sharpies and pencils before the iPad, and it would take so long, man. Now having an iPad, like I kind of lay it all out in Illustrator, use my shapes and things, get my curves and my type all laid out, and then I just send that to Procreate and use that as a reference. You know, sometimes drop the opacity way down, draw over the top, or sometimes I just kind of straight like mess with those letters that are already there and turn them into my own kind of like font or whatever. But
Do you kick out finished work in Procreate, or do you like get it to almost complete and then export it and like polish it up in Photoshop or something?
Yeah, it's like 95% of the way there most of the time, and then I send it out to Photoshop. That's where I kind of clean things up, make changes, or if I notice like in the drawing that I really want to cut something up and like change it, then I just kind of leave it, finish the rest of it, send it to Photoshop, make that big change, send it back, finish it off, send it back.
So you're bouncing back and forth.
Yeah, sometimes. But mostly I can get the drawing. I mean, Procreate's pretty powerful for what it is, you know, like an app. Like,
incredible.
You can do like so much. So even like the biggest of changes you can do on there for the most part. And
except for like adding strokes to things like that is such a pain in the ass, you know?
Right. Yeah. So any kind of like anything like that, that's all done in post, like Photoshop for me, like textures done there, everything like that, and obviously color and stuff. But yeah, and then like if the project's done, like I'll send off the PSD file, or if they want a vector, then it's usually just like a live trace version of that, which I draw at a high enough resolution that.
Do you use the native image trace settings in Illustrator, or like Amir from Growcase Forefathers? He's told me of Cocoa Trace. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, that's what I use.
That's what you use. Okay, yes, perfect. We'll make sure to plug that. I drop it every now and then. Like that thing picks up my most detailed line work drawings, and it, especially if I draw them at like a bigger scale, like 3,000 by 3,000 or 2,400 by 2,400 on Procreate, it'll pick that up like money. Even stippling, even halftone brushes.
Right, for sure. I had found out about it because I had accidentally drawn something on Procreate in a really low resolution, just not even thinking. And I went to live trace it, you know, using the Adobe settings, and it just was like not good. And I was like, crap, I'm gonna have to redraw this. So I reached out to some friends, and one of them told me about that. He's like, give this a shot. I don't know. So what I did is I just kind of blew it up in Photoshop. It was kind of blurry, but I blew it up, chucked it into that. What's it? Cocoa Trace or something? I don't know how to say it.
Trace.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it.
I'll link it up in the show notes. And if you're a PC user and you're tired of Illustrator's bullshit, and even if those advanced settings you tweak it, it's Trace on PC, Cocoa Trace. And I'll have that all linked up in the show notes. But like that is like the best gift anybody has ever showed me.
Right. Yeah, it saved me on that project for sure. And I've just been using it since. So easy to use. So yeah, it does a good job.
Dope. Dropping tips. Yeah. All right. This one comes from Morgan Walker. How did he develop his unique style? Which I kind of want to know too as well, because you have this first. Let me finish the question. How did he develop his unique style, and how does he land amazing clients like Johnny Swim? How First off, how would you describe your style, and then how did you develop it?
Man, I'd like to say it's just kind of come from, things that I really enjoy. So I've kind of always liked things that were like kind of rough around the edges and not quite precise. And then I've also loved like traditional tattoo work. So I hope that people see some of that in there. And then over the years, I've kind of fallen in love with like folk art. So, the patterns and the kind of like obscure shapes that animals and people have and stuff like that. So I've kind of hoped it's just like a mixture of all that, and then also kind of my own touch that over time has been kind of, included with that and merged with all that. And
so you have your influences that have now helped you craft and develop this style. Like, when did you know you were onto this? You were onto something. Were you just like, damn, I love this. I enjoy doing this style. I'm pretty good at it, but people are responding to it and clients seem to ask for it. Is that when you knew?
Right. Yeah. I mean, at first they were just responding because it was like this new kind of like hand-drawn thing that had blown up, everyone wanted this hand-drawn lettering and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing a lot of that. And then when I started actually illustrating as well, like incorporating images, I was doing really detailed images. So if you look at some of my older work, there's some like stuff that's way more detailed.
I'm scrolling.
Fine lines and things like that. And people love that stuff too. And then it came down to me wanting to simplify, and I also wanted to be more efficient. I wanted to do more work. And at the same time, I almost just love that simple look of like folk art and bolded lines and things.
You're like killing kind of the line work now, and then using more just, how would you describe it? Just like the fill and not necessarily the stroke.
Exactly. And even a lot of the times I work backwards. So I'm not drawing the lines, I'm drawing the shapes.
That you'll fill?
That I'll fill, and then I'll erase lines to kind of give that rough look, So it's even a little bit backwards. Like I've had people kind of like working alongside people and then being like, wait, you're kind of like working backwards, like white on black kind of thing. And I was like, this is just kind of how my brain works right now, so.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm scrolling back and I'm just like, holy shit, man. Some of it's so good. And then the second part from Morgan was, how do you land amazing clients like Johnny Swim?
All right. Yeah, that was just kind of something I kind of chased after a little bit. I wouldn't even say I chased like crazy hard, but what I was doing at the start was when I was trying to find work, I was like literally just sending people stuff. So I wanted to practice.
Outreach.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to practice, and I wanted to get new clients and, more of like dream jobs at the time. And I was like, well, I'll combine it both and just practice by doing these jobs, So, Johnny Swim is an example, and then some other bands too. But when I was practicing the type and the lettering and things like that, and just overall practicing, I would do lyrics. So I did Johnny Swim lyrics one time, and then tagged him in it on Instagram. And again, back on Instagram, I feel like people noticed more things.
Yeah, not as much competition. They just gained another billion users in 2018. So this platform is saturated.
Right. It's crazy. So yeah, it was a little bit easier then, but I was tagging them, and then I'd also like send it to them on Twitter and whatnot. And Johnny Swim is one of the few bands that actually reached out back to me and said, this is dope. Can we use it for a t-shirt? No changes, nothing. He's like, can we just straight use this? And I was like, what? Are you kidding? Like, for sure. Like, go. I have it. And that's just something that happened like 4 or 5 years ago or something. And like, I still work with them. Like, actually, I'm doing a design today. Like, I just put it down as to record it. So, it's kind of given me work over the years. And, Need to Breathe is another band that I just kind of, still am a fan of. And I was like, wanted to practice, did lyrics. Same thing happened. Caught their attention, sent me a message, and then started to do work for them and still do work for them. And then on top of that, like their management and their label that they're on see my work now, and other bands that are involved with those labels and management come to me as well for different designs. So it all started by just me kind of outreaching, like you said, and chasing after something. So
There's an underlying theme to this show of why you've been successful, and it's all because you take initiative.
yeah. I mean, looking back, like sometimes I'd like to think like I just kind of get lucky.
It's preparation, dog.
Yeah, but I mean, I did chase after stuff and things I wanted, I kind of went after. So
You don't get everything, but it's a numbers game. Just like
it's
Painter
definitely
Design Co. Roxy and Phoebe talk about all the time. It's a numbers game.
Yeah, it's definitely for me. I still think it's definitely a cross between hard work and luck. But yeah, I'm thankful for sure.
Luck comes when hard work meets preparation. I kind of butchered that quote, but it's so true.
There it
Opportunities
is.
come to people who put in the work. You get back what you put in.
You should draw that and put it over a photo and make it all.
And maybe someone will hire me and want to put it on a t-shirt. Okay. I got one more question and then we'll two more questions and then we'll jump into rapid fire. So this one comes from Claire Smith. What is Josh's favorite medium and how did he get the Bones coffee plug? That's like my favorite thing. Did you do the logo then of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite coffee mug here that I got through Dickies Pottery. And every day I think of you when I sip it.
That's awesome, man. So what was the first part of the question? Sorry.
What is your favorite medium? And
right.
I feel like digital, but like
I mean,
or Procreate or hand drawn or Photoshop.
Yeah. It all came out of like a love for hand drawn stuff. So I was doing pen and pencil, Sharpie, ink, all that kind of thing. And then when it became a job and I needed to be more efficient, that's when it became digital and I jumped over to the iPad. But it started with painting that way and then kind of went over to the Sharpie and things like that. But like I said, when I wanted to be quicker and turn around projects faster, when I jumped to the iPad and that changed the game for me.
Same. And I was so romantic about analog and hand drawn, like fuck all these people with iPads. And then I got an iPad. I'm like, okay, I understand now. This takes me a fraction of the time. Okay.
I was the same way. I took pride with being like, quote unquote, like old school or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, but I mean, you still got to go back to it every now and then, because the iPad does become a crush.
I'm like drawing on a piece of paper for in the future, a past episode artwork, and I keep tapping the paper and pinching and trying to zoom on something to like erase. And I'm like, okay, I've been on the iPad way too much.
Yeah. So I mean, but it did change the game as far as like speed and, I mean, just the undo button alone, when you're drawing, like is a game changer.
Tap it away. The second part is how did you land that Bones coffee plug?
Yeah, that just kind of, I mean, that started on the next town over here in Cape Coral. So like, 10 minutes away. So I had known one of the guys, that's a part of the family that started it. And I mean, he reached out and was like, were you interested? And at the time I don't know how far along they were with it. I think they might have only had one coffee out and a name, but they had to change the name for legal reasons or something like that. So they asked me to rebrand that one coffee and the name itself. And of course I was like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. And from there it's they've got like what, I don't know, like 30 coffees out now or more.
Dude, they have like the best brand in the game. And yeah, I'm in some like coffee groups because I'm in the coffee mug collection. You should see it. I got like 15 mugs just right here. And everybody's always after those Bones coffee mugs. So
it's crazy, man. Like I have no idea like how like kind of big they were getting. And, and I kind of see like one of their ads on Facebook or something that's got like hundreds upon hundreds of comments on there and stuff. And I'm like, geez.
Like dude, there's a whole nother world when it comes to coffee drinkers and coffee mug collectors, like huge, massive Facebook communities of like buyers and sellers and eBay world. Like it's nuts, dude.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're like low-key famous without people knowing you. So in some of these coffee groups I'm in and be like, yo, I got the Bones mug designer here. So I got the artist.
That's hilarious, man. That's so funny. Those guys are so easy to work with, man. Like they'll be like, we have this new coffee and we want like Bones on a unicorn.
You did the unicorn?
Yeah, and the
beam coming out. Yes.
They'll just give me this long description of what they want, like with all this stuff, and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, that's kind of a lot of stuff, but we'll see how it goes. And I do a sketch that 99% of the time, like, looks good, and then I do one drawing and then it's done.
Damn, money in the bank.
So it's
Fun as hell. That work looks so fun.
Yeah, and it's definitely like cool. Like every now and then I get tagged in some of those comments, like, saying good job or whatever from just like random people that know I do it. But yeah, I've done them all. So I mean, any of those ones you like, I'm pretty sure I've done them all. But
that's so sick, man. Yeah. Big fans of your work in those groups. So figured that'd be a nice little plug for you. Okay, before we go into rapid fire, what's one piece of advice you give to your past self when you were just starting off?
Oh man, I know we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but the comparison thing. I give that piece of advice to myself still.
It's
remind
a daily
myself
reminder in my world.
About comparison. So easy to compare yourself to, other designers, other creators, just other people in general. But I think back then I did it even more, and it kind of pushed me to like work way harder than I think I had to, like strains on certain areas of my life to try and reach these standards that designers from people who've already made careers, I'm trying to compare to them. But yeah, just take a seat back, enjoy the process of it all, practice, but don't burn yourself down on it. You know what I mean?
So you use comparison as a tool to fuel yourself instead of letting it paralyze you.
I try to now, but like I said, I still find myself comparing my work and where I'm at in my career and things with other people, with my age or whatever. But yeah, that's something I like to tell myself back then. And like I said, I still tell myself now, but
I think in 10 years, you'll still tell yourself that.
For sure.
Yeah,
sure.
man.
Especially if the way social media is going, man, it makes it so easy too. So
yeah,
it's definitely something you should take note of and be aware of. And when you realize you're doing it, kind of take a step back and you give yourself a break.
For sure. All right, rapid fire mode. We're almost there. We're going into the fourth quarter. Actually, this is OT. If you were on death row, what would your last slice of pizza be?
Oh man, I think I'm just gonna say classic pepperoni pizza, man.
My man. Anywhere specific?
Oh man, not really. I just love a pepperoni pizza.
It's hard to mess it up.
If you asked me a year ago, I probably would have said like a chicken pesto pizza, something simple like that. But then you have to get more specific of where it's from. And I don't know if on death row you can choose the restaurant. So I would just say pepperoni just in case they end up going to like Domino's or something.
You get you a Little Caesars.
That's it.
If you could have lunch with one person dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Oh, man. It's going to sound kind of weird and kind of come from the right field, I guess. But Angus Young from AC/DC.
Okay.
When I was a kid, I think he was the first person I really like idolized in a way. I'm not a guitar player really, like, or anything like that. I mean, I play a little bit, but like when I was a kid and trying to learn electric back then, like he was my hero. So it kind of be like sweet moment to like chat with him and be like, hey man, when I was a kid, you were like, and still are the coolest dude ever. But yeah, maybe I'd pick him.
That works. What script, serif or sans serif? I know this answer, but I still got to ask.
What's the difference between them? I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. Go back to go get your certificate checked, man.
I'm just kidding. I'd click sans serif.
That's an easy one. You can just see it through your
right.
Okay, so what font are you vibing to lately when you do have to run with a font or a typeface?
Oh, I kind of been using this one font, this series of fonts, Duel, D-U-E-L. It's kind of like this blocky font, but it comes in many different weights, so that's super helpful. And it's really simple block font. So as I was saying earlier, I like to kind of manipulate fonts a lot.
So you like roughing them up and feel a little bit more
right. So simple like block shape fonts like that, I can easily like add serifs to if I want them. I can curve the edges. I can do all kinds of stuff with them. I kind of use them as like a blank canvas in a way, like the shape. And so that one's been super helpful, that kind of stuff, especially because of all the weights it comes in.
Cool. I'm writing that one down for myself to peep out.
Yeah.
I already know this question too. I've been liking this one lately because I'm trying to find people who vibe to my style. Cats or dogs?
Oh, dogs.
How many dogs you got?
I got 2.
What are their names and what kind?
So I got Scout. She's a Shiba Inu. And then I have Emmett, who is some kind of mix. I don't know. He has terrier and I don't know, some other kind of stuff. But yeah, we got him from the pound, and they weren't sure, and we're not sure, and but yes, that
Word.
the two, they work. They're friends, so.
And they made a guest appearance in this episode today too for a second.
Right, I told you, man. I was like, I'm gonna put them in the bedroom, and they're gonna hang out and be quiet. And then one of them yapped from the bedroom saying, "Yeah, right."
Hey, it works. Okay. Last one. Where can people go to follow and support you online?
Yeah, so I mean, all the usual stuff. So there's Instagram, obviously, Joshua Noom, Twitter. I'm kind of on there, Joshua Noom, and then website, just Joshua Noom.
You still selling merch and swag? I still got some of your stuff from a while back.
Yeah. I mean, I had some stuff on there. I don't have large quantities or anything.
Pins, patches, and some posters.
Yeah. I got pins, I got T-shirts, and some other stuff. So yeah.
Word. And you're going to be at Creative South for people who are listening. They can go check you out.
Yeah, I'll be kind of walking around, hanging out. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, shit. I hope this comes out at the same time. I'd have to go double back. But regardless, I'll let people know you're there.
Either way.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you just open up, sharing your process, how you attract clients, how you still hold down a side job, why you do all this dope, amazing work, and, you know, your background story. It's all actually really, really inspiring. So, you know, thanks a lot, man. We appreciate you.
Appreciate it, man. It was fun.
All right. We'll keep in touch. All right.
Yeah, man, for sure.
PC family, I bring to you Joshua freaking Noom. Joshua, you crushed this, my friend. Thank you so much for showing up, being open, honest, transparent about your story, about your process. It's truly inspiring, and you guys know what to do. If what Josh said today made an impact on you, go and blow him up on social media, show him some love, and let him know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode. Josh, just know that I can speak for all of us that we sincerely appreciate you and your time. Keep crushing it. Can't wait to see what you kick out next. And if you find that you're seeking some type of community, okay, you're by yourself, you're in a bubble on an island with no one around you who can understand or doing the same things you do, well then I highly encourage you to go down into the show notes link and check out the Perspective-Collective Facebook community. It's a private community of global content creators all over the world. And we're in there sharing our feedback, sharing our work, sharing resources, collaborating. It's truly an incredible place full of like-minded people, and we would love to have you be a part of the family. And if you're finding value in this show and it's brought you, it's made an impact on you and your creative grind, there are two ways that you can support the show. The first is by financially backing the show over at patreon.com/perspectivepodcast. And you can do this like my friends at Iron Bean Coffee Company do. And there's different reward platforms. If you go for the bigger ones, you can get shout outs on each episode like my friends at Iron Bean do. And the second way to support the show is by subscribing and leaving a rating and review over on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, whatever platform you use most. And by doing so, you not only help the show climb the charts in the arts design category, but it allows me to give you a public thank you and show you some love in return. Like this week's Listener of the Week, and this one comes from Miss Adam 8, and she titles it Must Listen from the UK. They state, as someone who recently stumbled upon the world of graphic design, lettering, and the creative world, the Perspective Podcast has been amazing in helping me and taking lessons and advice from someone who has had the highs and lows and the blunt honesty that goes into the podcast. Sorry, I'm kind of butchering this one right now, but I'm doing my best. I love listening to it when designing or cooking and find myself shouting, yes! The endings always give me a push to keep going. The journey is long, but it need not be alone. Thank you, Scotty. That's it. You taking a small little moment of time lets me give you a shout out right here publicly. And I appreciate the hell out of everyone that's done it. I got a nice little cue to keep going with the next future episodes coming your way. And as I sign off, I got to give a huge thank you to my executive assistant, Paige Garland, my video specialist, Colton Bacher, and my homie Bluka for all the dope theme music you hear on this show. And as you finish off your week strong, I want to encourage you to keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and keep creating. You got this. Thanks again for listening. It'd be awesome if you took the time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let the comment below so we can connect. Again, if you want to catch a shout out as a future Listener of the Week, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes and give it a rating and review.